class, today we are going to be reading Romeo and Juliet, Act 5. We are on page 467 of our textbooks. So please open up your books to page 467. This is the last act of Romeo and Juliet. And where we left off is Juliet has now faked her death, but Romeo doesn't know she's faking her death. So to prevent her marriage to Paris, Juliet has taken the friar's potion, which has placed her in a temporary death-like sleep. As Act 5 begins, her unsuspecting family plans her funeral. Meanwhile, the friar has sent a messenger to Romeo in Mantua, where he is living in exile. The friar plans to tell Romeo of the ruse, or the plan, so that he may return and rescue Juliet from the family tomb. As you read Act 5, consider how much of the friar's plan is built on somewhat rickety foundations. So it's like he didn't quite think through his plan as well as he should have. So we're going to start with scene 1 with Romeo, and he's in Mantua now in exile. So we get to kind of see where he's at now, because we didn't see him at all in Act 4.
If I may trust the flattering truth of sleep, my dreams presage some joyful news at hand. My bosom's lord sits lightly in his throne, and all this day an unaccustomed spirit lifts me above the ground with cheerful thoughts. I dreamt my lady came and found me dead. A strange dream that gives a dead man leave to think. And breathed such life with kisses in my lips that I revived and was an emperor. Oh me, how sweet is love itself possessed, when but love's shadows are so rich in joy.
My Lord Romeo!
What? News from Verona? How now, Balthazar? Dost thou not bring me letters from the friar? How doth my lady? Is my father well? Or how fares my Juliet? Well, that I ask again, for nothing can be ill if she be well.
And she is well. And nothing can be ill. Her body sleeps in Keppel's monument, and her immortal part with angels lives. I saw her laid low in her kindred's vault, and presently took post to tell it you. Oh, pardon me for bringing these ill news, since you did leave it for my office, sir.
Is it e'en so? Then I defy you, stars. Thou knowest my lodging. Get me ink and paper, and hire post horses. I will hence tonight.
I do beseech you, sir, have patience. Your looks are pale and wild, and do import some misadventure.
Tush, thou art deceived.
Okay, I'm going to stop here because Balthazar, I know it says man, but his name is Balthazar. He's telling Romeo to have patience. He says, you look pale and wild, and you're probably going to do something drastic. So Balthazar tells Romeo to be patient and not act rashly. But we know our Romeo. He's never patient, and he always acts rashly. So he's going to, make some rash decisions. Don't forget, you need to have your pen, and you need to be writing down and underlining everything that I underline, and writing down everything that I write in your book.
Do the thing I bid thee do!
Sir.
Hast thou no letters to me from the friar?
No, my good lord.
No matter.
Get thee gone! And hire those horses! I'll be with thee straight.
My good lord.
Okay, so Romeo leaves, and he asked twice if there's any letters from the friar. So he said, is there any letters from the friar here? Says, dost thou not bring me letters from the friar here? So why doesn't Romeo wait for the letters? Why doesn't Romeo wait and talk to the friar first? Right? If the friar's the one who's making all the plans, why doesn't he wait and talk to him first? Maybe this is another thing that Romeo could have done differently. So now he's going to leave, and he's deciding right now what he's going to do.
Well, Juliet, I will lie with thee tonight. Let's see for means. Oh, mischief. Thou art swift to enter in the thoughts of desperate men. I do remember an apothecary, and hereabouts he dwells, which late I noted in tattered weeds, with overwhelming brows culling of simples. Meager were his looks, sharp misery had worn him to the bones, and in his needy shop a tortoise hung, an alligator stuffed, and other skins of ill-shaped fishes, and about his shelves a beggarly account of empty boxes, green earthen pots, bladders, and musty seeds, remnants of packthread and old cakes of roses were thinly scattered to make up a show. Noting his penury, to myself I said, and if a man did need a poison now, whose sale is present death in Mantua, here lives a caitiff wretch would sell it him. Oh, the same thought did but forerun my need, and this same needy man must sell it me. As I remember, this should be the house. Oh, being holiday, the beggar's shop is shut. What ho! Apothecary!
Okay, so Romeo says, well, Juliet, I will lie with thee tonight. So that means he's decided that he's going to kill himself so that he can be dead with Juliet that night. And he's saying that on his way to Mantua, he remembers seeing an apothecary who he felt like would sell poison to a desperate man, even though selling poison is illegal. He felt like, oh, well, if I ever needed a way to die, then I could go to this guy and get some poison. So it's like he had already planned that this would be what he would do. So Romeo seemed to already plan to take poison if needed. He just keeps his options open. Like it's almost like he's looking for reasons to kill himself in this whole entire story. If you look hard enough, you'll find it. So he knocks at the apothecary's door.
Called so loud.
Come hither, man. I see that thou art poor. Hold, there is 40 ducats. Let me have a dram of poison, such soon speeding gear as will disperse itself through all the veins, that the life-weary taker may fall dead, and that the trunk may be discharged of breath as violently as hasty powder fired doth hurry from the fatal cannon's womb.
Such mortal drugs I have, but Mantua's law is death to any he that utters them.
Art thou so bare and full of wretchedness, and fearest to die? Famine is in thy cheeks, need and oppression starveth in thine eyes. Contempt and beggary hangs upon thy back. The world is not thy friend, nor the world's law. The world affords no law to make thee rich. Then be not poor, and break it, and take this.
My poverty, but not my will, consents.
I pay thy poverty, and not thy will.
this in any liquid thing you will, and drink it off, and if you had the strength of 20 men, it would dispatch you straight.
There is thy gold. Worse poison to men's souls, doing more murder in this loathsome world than these poor compounds that thou mayest not sell. I sell thee poison. Thou hast sold me none. Farewell. Buy food and get thyself in flesh. Come, cordial and not poison. Go with me to Juliet's grave, for there must I use thee.
Holy Franciscan Friar, Brother Lawrence, ho!
This same should be the voice of Friar John.
Good morrow, brother.
Welcome from Mantua, Friar John. What says Romeo? Or if his mind be writ, give me his letter.
Going to find a barefoot brother out, one of our order, to associate me here in the city visiting the sick and finding him. The searchers of the town, suspecting that we both were in a house where the infectious pestilence did reign, sealed up the doors and would not let us forth, so that my speed to Mantua there was stayed.
Who bear my letter then to Romeo?
I could not send it, here it is again, nor get a messenger to bring it thee, so fearful were they of infection.
Okay, so fear of the plague made the messenger not be able to take the letter to Mantua for Romeo. So they were worried the pestilence, that is the plague that they're talking about. And so they were afraid that these priests had gone to a house with someone who was sick, so they refused to let them leave the town and go into Mantua. So it kind of sounds similar, like during COVID time, you can't travel as much. So the messenger was not able to give the letter to Romeo.
Unhappy fortune. By my brotherhood, the letter was not nice, but full of charge, of dear import, and in neglecting it may do much danger. Friar John, go hence, get me an iron crowbar, and bring it straight unto my cell.
Brother, I'll go and bring it thee.
Now must I to the monument alone. Within this 3 hours will fair Juliet wake. She will beshrew me much that Romeo hath had no notice of these accidents. But I will write again to Mantua, and keep her at my cell till Romeo come. Poor living corse, closed in a dead man's tomb.
This is Juliet.
Give me thy torch, boy.
Here, sir.
Hence, and stand aloof. Yet put it out, for I would not be seen.
Okay, so now, like in another twist of events, so Friar Lawrence was not able to give the letter to Romeo that Juliet was actually alive and not dead. So now Friar Lawrence is freaking out. He's like, I better go to the monument now. I'm not sure why he didn't just go there to start with, to make sure Romeo got there. But in a twist of fate, Paris decides to go to Juliet's tomb at this very same time in order to pay his respects to Juliet. I'm not sure why he has to do this at night when no one's watching, but Paris was supposed to marry Juliet, so he feels bad that his future wife died, and he really does care for Juliet, and so he's going to go and pay his respects at Juliet's grave, having no knowledge of Romeo or Juliet's involvement with Romeo.
Under yon yew tree lay thee all along, holding thine ear close to the hollow ground, so shall no foot upon the churchyard tread, being loose, unfirm with digging up of graves, but thou shalt hear it. Whistle then to me as signal that thou hearest something approach. Give me those flowers.
Sir Paris.
Do as I bid thee.
Sir.
Go.
Sir, I am almost afraid to stand alone here in the churchyard. Yet I will adventure.
Sweet flower, with flowers thy bridal bed I strew. O woe, thy canopy is dust and stones, which with sweet water nightly I will dew, or wanting that with tears distilled by moans. The obsequies that I for thee will keep, nightly shall be to strew thy grave and weep. The boy gives warning something doth approach. What cursed foot wanders this way tonight to cross my obsequies and true love's right? What, with a torch? Muffle me, night, a while.
Give me that mattock. And the wrenching iron, Balthazar.
Sir.
Hold. Take this letter. Early in the morning, see thou deliver it to my lord and father-in-law, Capulet.
As you wish.
Give me the light. Upon thy life I charge thee, whatever thou hearest or seest, stand all aloof, and do not interrupt me in my course. Why I descend into this bed of death is partly to behold my lady's face, but chiefly to take thence from her dead finger a precious ring, a ring that I must use in dear employment. Therefore hence, begone. But if thou, jealous, dost return to pry in what thy father shall intend to do, by heaven, I will tear thee joint by joint and strew this hungry churchyard with thy limbs. The time and my intents are savage wild, more fierce and more inexorable far than empty tigers or the roaring sea.
I will be gone, sir, and not...
Okay, so Romeo doesn't want Balthazar to know his true motives. So Romeo is planning on killing himself, but instead he says he's going to go down to this tomb to just look at Romeo's face and to get a ring from her. But he really doesn't plan on getting a ring. He just wants to be with her while he takes his poison. So Balthazar's like, don't worry, I'm gonna leave. Like Romeo says, if you try to stop me, I'm gonna rip you joint from joint. So Balthazar's like, don't worry, I'm not gonna try to stop you.
So shalt thou show me friendship. Take thou my purse. Live and be prosperous. And farewell, good fellow.
My lord.
For all this same, I'll hide me hereabout. His looks I fear, and his intents I doubt.
Thou detestable maw, thou womb of death, gorged with the dearest morsel of the earth. Thus I enforce thy rotten jaws to open, and in despite I'll cram thee with more food.
This is that banished haughty Montague that murdered my love's cousin, with which grief it is supposed the fair creature died, and here is come to do some villainous shame to the dead bodies. I will apprehend him.
Stop thy unhallowed toy!
Okay, so Paris sees Romeo and knows that Romeo killed Tybalt and thinks that Romeo is the reason why Juliet died because of grief of Tybalt's death. So he's like, I have to stop Romeo. Like, what is he going to do to the graves? So Paris thinks Romeo is there to, I don't know, do shame to Tybalt and Juliet's bodies. Because all Paris knows of Romeo is that he killed Tybalt. He really doesn't know anything else. So he decides to try to stop Romeo. But we know how Romeo gets when he's in such a desperate mood.
Vile Montague, can vengeance be pursued further than death? Condemned villain, I do apprehend thee here. Obey and go with me, for thou must die.
I must indeed, and therefore came I hither. Good gentle youth, tempt not a desperate man. Fly hence and leave me. Think upon these gone, let them affright thee. I beseech thee, youth, put not another sin upon my head by urging me to fury. Oh, be gone! By heaven, I love thee better than myself, for I come hither armed against myself. Stay not, be gone. Live, and hereafter say, a madman's mercy bid thee run away.
I do defy thy conjurations, and apprehend thee for a felon here.
What, thou provoke me? Then have at thee, boy!
Oh, Lord, they fight! I will go call the watch.
So again, Romeo says, I love thee better than myself, for I come hither armed against myself. So he's saying, I plan to kill myself here. And then Paris doesn't believe him. So he's trying to back down from the fight. Tries to back down from fight. And it's kind of interesting to me that he uses the same words that he used to Tybalt when he tried to back down from that fight. And then Paris is like, I don't believe you. And they fight. Well, yeah.
Oh! I am slain. If thou be merciful, open the tomb. Lay me with Juliet.
So now Paris dies.
In faith, I will. Let me peruse this face. Mercutio's kinsman, noble County Paris. What said my man when my betossed soul did not attend him as we rode? I think he told me Paris should have married Juliet. Said he not so, or did I dream it so? Or am I mad hearing him talk of Juliet to think it was so? Oh, give me thy hand, one writ with me in sour misfortune's book. I'll bury thee in a triumphant grave. Come, Paris. Come. Come. Come.
So he's dragging Paris into Juliet's grave. But notice how Romeo again blames murder on fortune. So again, he says, it's not my fault, it's fortune's fault that I murdered someone. So it's fortune's fault that I murdered Tybalt. Now it's fortune's fault that I murdered Paris. And so he's like, I'm so sorry that I had to murder you, but I will lay you in Juliet's tomb like you asked.
This? A grave? Oh no. A lantern, slaughtered youth. For here lies Juliet, and her beauty makes this vault a feasting presence full of light. Death, lie thou there, by a dead man interred. How oft when men are at the point of death have they been merry, which their keepers call a lightning before death. Oh, how may I call this a lightning? My love. My wife. Death that hath sucked the honey of thy breath hath had no power yet upon thy beauty. Thou art not conquered. Beauty's ensign yet is crimson in thy lips and in thy cheeks. And death's
pale flag is not advanced there. Tybalt, liest thou there in thy bloody sheet? What more favor can I do to thee than with that hand that cut thy youth in twain to sunder his that was thine enemy? Forgive me, cousin. Oh, dear Juliet, why art thou yet so fair? Shall I believe that unsubstantial death is amorous, and that the lean, horrid monster keeps thee here in dark to be his paramour? For fear of that, I still will stay with thee, and never from this palace of dim night depart again. Here will I remain with the worms that are thy chambermaids. Here will I set up my everlasting rest, and shake the yoke of inauspicious stars from this world-wearied flesh. Eyes, look your last. Arms, take your last embrace. And lips, who you the doors of breath, seal with a righteous kiss, a dateless bargain to engrossing death. Come, bitter conduct. Come, unsavory guide. Thou desperate pilot, now at once run on the dashing rocks thy seasick weary bark. Here's to my love. The drugs are quick. Thus, with a kiss, I die.
Okay, so Romeo has taken the poison and he is now dead. As he is, looking at Juliet, he sees Romeo wonders why Juliet still has color in her cheeks. So the fact that Juliet still has color in her cheeks means she's still alive. So Romeo, is saying, wow, you still look beauty. You still look beautiful. You don't even look dead. And, she's not dead. So that tells you that maybe he should use that that clue to tell him maybe we shouldn't, maybe I shouldn't take this poison. And in the friar, just after Romeo dies, the friar comes in. But of course, he's too late.
St. Francis, be my speed. How oft tonight have my old feet stumbled at graves? Who's there?
Here's one. A friend and one that knows you well.
Bliss be upon you. Tell me, good my Balthazar, what torch is yon that vainly lends his light to grubs and eyeless skulls? As I discern, it burneth in the capel's monument.
It doth so, holy sir, and there's my master, one that you love.
Who is it?
Romeo.
How long hath he been there?
Full half an hour.
Go with me to the vault.
I dare not, sir. My master knows not, but I am gone hence, and fearfully did menace me with death if I did stay to look on his intents.
Stay then, I'll go alone. Fear comes upon me. Oh, much I fear some ill, unthrifty thing.
As I did sleep under this yew tree here, I dreamt my master and another fought, and that my master slew him.
Romeo! Alack, alack. What blood is this which stains the stony entrance of this sepulchre? What mean these masterless and gory swords to lie discolored by this place of peace? I'll enter. Romeo? Romeo? Oh, pale. Who else? What, perished too, and steeped in blood? Oh, what an unkind hour is guilty of this lamentable chance. What? The lady stirs.
Comfortable friar, where is my lord? I do remember well where I should be, and there I am. Where is my Romeo?
I hear some noise. Lady, come from that nest of death, contagion, and unnatural sleep. A greater power than we can contradict hath thwarted our intents. Come away. Thy husband in thy bosom, there lies dead. And Paris too. Come, I'll dispose of thee among a sisterhood of holy nuns. Stay not to question, for the watch is coming. Come, go, good Juliet. I dare no longer stay.
Go! Get thee hence, for I will not away.
My lady, my lady.
What's here?
Okay. The friar leaves Juliet alone. Another reason for me not to like the friar. You make really bad choices, Mr. Friar. You're supposed to be the adult in the room, but then you decide to leave Juliet alone. So Juliet's left alone in this tomb with Romeo's dead body right next to her. What's she gonna do, Friar? What do you think?
Closed in my true love's hand. Poison, I see, hath been his timeless end. Oh, churl, drunk all and left no friendly drop to help me after. I will kiss thy lips. Haply some poison yet doth hang on them, to make me die with the restorative. Oh, thy lips are warm.
Lead, boy. Which way?
This way, sir.
Yea, noise. Then I'll be brief. Oh, happy dagger. This is thy sheath. There rest, and let me die.
This is the place, sir. There, where the torch doth burn.
The ground is bloody. Search about the churchyard. Go, some of you. Whoever you find, attach.
Aye, sir.
Sir. Pitiful sight. Here lies the county slain, and Juliet bleeding, warm, and newly dead, who here hath lain these 2 days buried. Go! Tell the prince, run to the Capulets! Raise up the Montague, some others! Search! Sure. We see the ground whereon these woes do lie, but the true ground of all these piteous woes we cannot without circumstance descry.
Chief, sir, here's Romeo's man, Balthazar. Sir. We found him in the churchyard, and...
Hold him in safety till the prince come hither.
Oh, sir, I pray you.
And a friar that trembles, sighs, and weeps. We took this mattock and the spade from him as he was coming from this churchyard side.
A great suspicion. Stay the friar, too.
Prince Aeschylus, sir, and my Lord Capulet, too.
Bring me to this sight.
My sovereign prince.
What misadventure is so early up that calls our person from our morning rest?
What should it be that they so shriek abroad?
The people in the street cry Romeo, and some Juliet, and some Paris, and all run with open outcry toward our monument.
What fear is this that startles in our ears?
Sovereign, here lies the county Paris slain, and Romeo dead, and Juliet dead before, warm, and you killed.
Search, seek, and know how this foul murder comes.
Here is a friar, and slaughtered Romeo's man, with instruments upon them fit to open these dead men's tombs.
Heavens! Oh, wife, look how our daughter bleeds. This dagger hath mistaken, for lo, his sheath is empty on the back of Montague, and it missheathed in my daughter's bosom.
Oh, me! The sight of death is as a bell that warns my old age to a sepulchre.
My sovereign.
Come, Montague, for thou art early up to see thy son and heir more early down.
Alas, my liege, my wife is dead tonight. Grief of my son's exile hath stopped her breath. What further woe conspires against mine age?
Look, and thou shalt see.
Oh, thou untaught, what manners is in this, to press before thy father to a grave?
Seal.
Okay, so Montague, and it took me a few reads for me to catch this, but so Montague's wife, Romeo's mom, died that night. Montague's wife died over grief of Romeo's banishment. So I used to say that 5 people die in Romeo and Juliet, but it's actually 6. Mercutio dies, Tybalt dies, Paris dies, Romeo dies, Juliet dies, so that's 5, and then Montague's wife, so Romeo's mom dies, so that's 6.
For a while till we can clear these ambiguities and know their spring, their head, their true descent, and then will I be general of your woes and lead you even to death. Meanwhile forbear, and let mischance be slave to patience. Bring forth the parties of suspicion.
I am the greatest able to do least, yet most suspected as the time and place doth make against me of this direful murder. And here I stand, both to impeach and purge, myself condemned and myself excused.
Then say at once what thou dost know in this.
I will be brief, for my short date of breath is not so long as is a tedious tale. Romeo, there dead, was husband to that Juliet, and she, there dead, that Romeo's faithful wife. I married them, and their stolen marriage day was Tybalt's doomsday, whose untimely death banished the new-made bridegroom from this city, for whom, and not for Tybalt, Juliet pined. You, Lord Capulet, to remove that siege of grief from her, betrothed and would have married her perforce to County Paris. Then comes she to me, and with wild looks bid me devise some mean to rid her from this second marriage, or in my cell there would she kill herself. Then gave I her, so tutored in my art, a sleeping potion, which so took effect as I intended, for it wrought on her the form of death. Meantime I writ to Romeo that he should hither come as this dire night to help to take her from her borrowed grave, being the time the potion's force should cease. But he which bore my letter, Friar John, was stayed by accident, and yesternight returned my letter back. Then all alone at the prefixed hour of her waking came I to take her from her kindred's vault, meaning to keep her closely at my cell till I conveniently could send to Romeo. But when I came some minute ere the time of her awaking, here untimely lay the noble Paris and true Romeo dead. She wakes, and I entreated her come forth and bear this work of heaven with patience. But then a noise did scare me from the tomb, and she, too desperate, would not go with me, but as it seems did violence on herself. All this I know, and to the marriage her nurse is privy. And if aught in this miscarried by my fault, let my own life be sacrificed some hour before his time unto the rigor of severest law.
We still have known thee for a holy man. Where's Romeo's man? What can he say in this?
Sire, I brought my master news of Juliet's death, and then in post he came from Mantua to this same place, to this same monument. This letter he early bid me give his father, and threatened me with death, going in the vault if I departed not, and left him there.
Give me the letter, I will look on it. Where is the county's page that raised the watch?
Here, sir.
Sirrah, what made your master in this place?
He came with flowers to strew his lady's grave, and bid me stand aloof, and so I did. Anon comes one with light to ope the tomb, and by my master drew on him, and then I ran away to call the watch.
This letter doth make good the friar's words, their course of love, the tidings of her death. And here he writes that he did buy a poison of a poor apothecary, and therewithal came to this vault to die, and lie with Juliet. Where be these enemies, Capulet, Montague? See what a scourge is laid upon your hate, that heaven finds means to kill your joys with love. And I, for winking at you, discords too, have lost a brace of kinsmen. All are punished.
O brother Montague, give me thy hand. This is my daughter's jointure, for no more can I demand.
But I can give thee more, for I will raise her statue in pure gold, that whilst Verona by that name is known, there shall no figure at such rate be set as that of true and faithful Juliet.
As rich shall Romeo's by his ladies lie, poor sacrifices of our enmity.
A glooming peace this morning with it brings. The sun for sorrow will not show his head. Go hence to have more talk of these sad things. Some shall be pardoned, and some punished. For never was a story of more woe than this of Juliet and her Romeo.
Okay, that's the end of the play. Right here, Capulet and Montague promise each other to stop fighting. And Montague is going to make a statue in pure gold of Juliet in Verona. So there's this golden statue of Juliet in Verona, and it's not from this play, it's just to pay homage to this line. And the prince, remember, he lost two of his kinsmen. He lost Mercutio in Paris, and then Capulet lost Juliet, Montague lost Romeo, and Capulet also lost Tybalt. So they're saying that we're all punished. We all have suffered because of this. So you guys are going to make sure that you answer the comprehension check questions on the next page. These are going to be three of your quiz questions, and make sure that you did the annotations. I will be checking those. Okay, I'll see you in class next week.